Guys, I wanted to talk about FOMO and retro gaming, kind of thing. This is a trend or a fad I just found out about. And sorry, I just had a bite to eat. And I just thought I'd give you my 2 cents on this. This is how I buy things, period, right? I think buying something because you're afraid you're going to get left out or something like that is a stupid idea. Because you're worried about the price hikes of retro gaming and this, that, and everything else. That's BS. To me, if a game's too expensive, it's too expensive. Doesn't matter if it's a modern game or a retro game. If you price me out of certain games, I'm not going to buy them. It's just that simple. You know, and I see this with a number of older games that I'd like to get my hands on, but I'm not going to pay ridiculous prices for them, right? So I just thought I would sit back and just use common sense, right? And that is this. You like retro gaming, you like older games, you like consoles, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's a couple of things that are going on in the industry right now that's causing this to happen, right? One, YouTubers are losing their collective brain cell, right? They only got one. And the other thing is that because Sony is announcing, oh, we're going digital only, right? So people are freaking out making these videos on YouTube about this FOMO phase. And I'm just like, okay, let's use common sense. Most games have a lot of replay value or are massive time sinks. RPGs are a massive time sink just for one playthrough, let alone multiple playthroughs, right? You take a look at my Skyrim videos, for example. Well, you can't see them now, but when I had them up, I had all these different classes I had made up. Made a Christian, I made a true pacifist, made this and that, kind of thing, right? So those will give you multitude of different ways of playing the same game over and over again without it getting boring and repetitive, even though technically you're playing the same content. It's about the mindset you're using to play that content with. For example, a thief is only going to go around stealing, that's it. A Christian is going to go around preaching the word of the gospel. A pacifist is not going to kill anything at all, not even a fish, right? Um, a tradesman is just out there to sell his wares, right? The bard is going to tell tales of glory, and on and on and on, right? So not necessarily are you there to even play the game all the way to its conclusion, kind of thing. You're there, role playing, right? Proper role playing, right? So with RPGs, they're massive time sinks, especially if you get Kingdoms of Amalur, which was meant to be an MMORPG, right? That is a massive, massive time sink, right? And you could spend thousands of hours just playing it. If you get older games like Phantasy Star, for example, you don't have quest markers. You don't have, fast travel. You know what I mean? You actually legit have to do things the hard way. And the same thing with older games too. Like, for example, platform games, right? Um, you get like 3 credits, that's it, you're done, you know, right? And you run out of your 3 men, you're done, you're cooked, like Mega Man, for example, or Mario, or Sonic, or whatever. Games last a long time when I was growing up because of that concept, right? You guys come up with these ideas. Oh, quality of life improvements. Look, we got rewind, we got save states, we got this. No, it ruins the whole experience, right? It ruins the thrill of actually beating a game and actually accomplishing something. Because when you play it that way, you're not accomplishing anything because eventually you're going to beat the dang thing, right? And probably within a day. So when you look at RPGs, they're massive time sinks, right? Okay. And especially if you want to go explore everywhere and look everywhere on the map, find locations that aren't even on the map, which I've done even in Skyrim. Okay. I found a sex cult that, this person got slaughtered at, and I made up a whole backstory with it, about what it was all about. It was kind of like, freaking hilarious, and because you guys are into Skyrim, if I find that location again, I'll let you know and I'll talk about the sex cult and the whole thing I worked out and that sort of thing, Mullabug and stuff, and how everybody's involved in this, and Sherigard and or Sheridoa, however you say his name, you know what I mean. But anyway, those are time sinks. Okay, games with the tons of replay value. Well, heck, sports games, right? Sports games, you can create yourself. You can create more characters. Let's say hockey, for example, right? Okay, you can do this with any sport. You can create teams. You can create leagues. You can create players. Why do you need to buy a new hockey game every year? Makes no sense to me. I never did get that. Same thing with wrestling. You can create your own wrestlers. Like, why do you need to buy a new wrestling game every year? It just does not make sense, right? People talk about backlogs, and I just roll my eyes and I go, is that a thing, really? Backlogs? Like, is backlogs really a thing? Come on, man. You're pulling my leg, and I won't tell you which one you're pulling, but pretty soon it's going to jizz on you. Just kidding. Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Calm down. You're getting me excited. Oh it's rising to the occasion. I'm simping. I'm gooning. I'm gooning mentally. Oh, Serena, how you doing, baby? Yeah, you see, that's the thing too, right? I make my characters so you guys simp on them. You see, I made the succubus. Remember, I made that. See, I come up with unique builds like that, right? Okay, all right. So anyway, that's funny. Anyway, the point is, you can create your players. You can put players in. You can do roster updates. You don't need another game. And with sports titles, every time you play it, it's a different experience, right? And the same thing too, if you play role-playing games, if you do proper role-playing, which is what I was trying to teach you guys, but a lot of people are just brain dead and don't want to get the concept of a thief does not kill. They're like, yes, it does. And they're trying to justify it. And it's like, if you go and play the game and all its content at once, what's the point in going back to it if you're just going to do the same thing over and over and over again? And you're just going to play all the content at once too. When you create classes like I was doing and making builds and that, which I'll bring back if you're interested, the thing is that it gives you a unique experience every time you play the game because you're doing it from a different perspective than what you did before, right? Apparently, I'm really gassy tonight. So, my whole point about this is this, okay? Yes, it's nice to get games and that sort of thing, but let's use some common sense here. You got a backlog? That's a word that doesn't exist in my vocabulary. You know what I used to do back in the day that I still apply to this day and age? Is this way. I'll buy like one in each category, right? Okay, like, an action adventure game, a fighting game, a role playing game. You get the idea. But I wouldn't necessarily say because nowadays there's so many categories. Back then there was only a couple. The point is like I would just buy a couple of games. Okay, one I always got hockey, right? Okay, absolutely love hockey. I would buy a role playing game. Then I would buy something else for the monotony, like an action adventure or a platform or whatever. So I buy 2 or 3 games. Okay, then I wouldn't buy anything until I thoroughly exhausted at least one of those games that I could replace it with something else, like an RTS or something else. You know what I mean? So I had a massive library, yeah, but it was only massive because it was what I wanted at the time. You see what I mean? So like I would go out and get 688 attack sub, for example, or F-22 interceptor, kind of thing for sim, right? Or Abrams battle tank. Or I get an RTS like Centurion, Warriors of Rome, Populous, one of my most favorite games of all, like, our for RTS is just amazing, was Populous, right? And that sort of thing, right? I didn't really care about graphics, like fighting games, I would just get a fighting game and that'd be it. Like, I get Street Fighter, I get Mortal Kombat or something like that. Or in the case, because I do have a Sega Genesis, I would get something unique that was unique only to Sega, and that would be the fighting game they came up with, Eternal Champions. You know what I mean? That was awesome. So the thing is, I never had a backlog, right? I always found new and creative ways to enjoy my older games, such as creating teams and creating, different players and that kind of stuff and putting them onto the teams and that sort of thing, coming up with my own ratings as to what I would think that they were rated. Like I would make Guy Lafleur from Montreal, and I would make Yvan Cormier. I would make, Larry Robinson, the Roadrunner, and I would make, Rocket Richard and Henry Richard and Ken Dryden and the Gump Wormsley and on and on and on. Like, I would just like have a blast creating different players for my team. And then I would do it for the other teams and that too until eventually you run out of memory, like, because you run out of space, right? And that's the thing, like, and especially with today's technology, you got so much memory. You got a ridiculous amount of memory, right? So that's the thing, like, like you really don't need that. You see me playing still, and I was just playing it before I did this video. I was playing NHL '94 Rewind, so like, going back to the '90s kind of thing, right? You only need one fighting game. You don't need a bunch of them. You only need one sports game, like one baseball, one hockey, one football, whatever your jam is, right? And that sort of thing. It's just like, having fun, right? So if you're creative and imaginative like I am, and if you're not, well, I can do it for you if you like. You come with all these different classes, like with the Elder Scrolls games, for example, or any other game, right? And you make all these different classes and go out and play these games and do them differently, It's because, like, a game has, like, let's say a Fighters Guild, a Thieves Guild, and all these different guilds. Look at Kingdoms of Amalur. That thing is massive. It's humongous. It's ginormous. There are literally thousands of locations all over the place. It reminds me of friggin' Daggerfall, like kind of thing, right? So, and like, I mean, some ideas for you for role-playing games like that. You can also get out of the D&D stuff and get into things like, Knights of the Old Republic or Jade Empire, like really older games, like on the Xbox, for example, right? So, like, there's a lot of really cool games there, right? That you could play that would take you hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours to play. So massive time sinks with the RPGs. And then with the other ones, it's just a matter of like, what you enjoy best to play, right? So you see, you don't need to buy a lot of games. We live in this is the problem with the digital world, right? We live in this digital world where it's instant gratification, where it's like, you know what? Oh, this is on sale now at 80% off. I better buy it now because it's going to go back up to like, $180 or whatever, right? Okay. And now I can get it for like $20, right? What a deal. I'm going to do that. And you buy it. But do you play it? You see what I mean? Do yourself a favor. Take a look at your games, okay? And then how many of them do you actually play? I mean, for me, it's like a handful, like literally five, maybe six, like, like that kind of stuff, right? There isn't a lot of them that I actually play. And it's not an age thing, it's just like, it's an interest thing, right? Like, what am I interested in playing? Well, mainly I like hockey and I like role playing games. I like fighting games too because I like watching stuff getting smashed around and that too and that. So, like, I got that Shaolin versus Wu Tang, which is like really, really friggin' dirt cheap when you think about it compared to the modern games out there nowadays, right? And that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, um, when you look at modern gaming, when you look at retro gaming, you look at the prices going up, you look at everything going digital, people are losing their collective minds because they're like, oh, you got to get this before this goes up or that goes up, right? And they create this new trend that whatever the heck I said earlier, mofo or whatever the heck it was, that I said, that you guys do nowadays, right? And I'm just like, that makes no sense. Oh, gotta get it now or else you're gonna miss out. How are you gonna miss out? I already got plenty of games as it is, right? And then what do? You got a backlog? That's a term I've never had ever in my life. If I ever said I got a backlog, because you know what a backlog is going to do to you? It's going to break you, but not the way that you think. It's going to break you in the sense you're not going to enjoy the games because you're going to power through them. Oh, I got to beat this so I can move on to the next one, and you don't explore. Like, think about RPGs, right? Literally, think about RPGs for a second. The beautiful thing about RPGs is the exploration. Not knowing what's over the next mountain, not knowing what's in that cave there, not know, you know what I mean? And just going around and just exploring the whole entire world itself that's created, right? That's the thing. See, people are looking constantly, that I notice, for the next big fix, only to be disappointed. Why don't you just enjoy the fix you already got? Backlog? Really? Seriously? That's a thing? That means you're not going to enjoy your games. If I was to sit here and think about all the different games I haven't beaten, and let's say I want to beat them all before I die, I'm not really enjoying gaming, am I? No one is. And that's what you do with a backlog. You're not enjoying gaming. So you know what? When it comes to retro gaming, when it comes to prices going up, when it comes to digital or whatever is going on in this world, okay? Breathe, relax, and don't get caught up in these trends. Because they're all a bunch of malarkey. It's all a bunch of BS. Okay? Take what you got, be thankful and happy for what you got, and have fun with what you got. And stop looking forward to the next Elder Scrolls game or whatever is coming out when there's plenty of games out there that can chew up your time and you can have a blast with it you'll enjoy. The biggest one that I know of is definitely Kingdoms of Amalur. That is like the biggest role-playing game out there still to this day, period. No matter what. Nothing will come close to that game, and I don't think it ever will. That game just embarrasses the heck out of the industry, which is why I tell you, pick it up and then go play it. You understand why, I say that, right? And I made a bunch of different classes for that too. And let me know if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, and I'll do that. I'll come up with classes for you again, and that sort of thing, because Panic Man 10 got sunk, kind of thing, right? But that's basically all I have to say is just common sense, right? I don't bother with trends and that. Like, I don't care. I just care that I'm having fun and enjoying myself, right? What I care about keeping up with the Joneses. I mean, the Bible tells you not to do that kind of stuff, not to be greedy, not to lust after things, you know what I mean? And that's exactly what you're doing. You're lusting after things and you're being greedy with them because you get, oh, I got to buy them all. Like, why? You know? Like that's the whole thing, right? Get a fighting game for fighting, get a RPG, get a sports game, and there you go, you're good. You know what I mean? Like, you only need like, two or three games, and that's about it. You know, you can have a lot of fun with those two or three games. And then, like, if you want something a little bit different, like an RTS or whatever, like, like whatever mood you're in. And that's what I like to do. I like to get one of each category, and then I have something to play in. You know what I mean? Like, for example, Elder Scrolls for role playing, or Kingdoms of Amalur, which is this massive. That game, it just blows my mind, like how insane it is, and the customization that's in it that's lacking in Skyrim, sadly. But yeah, that's all I have to say. If retro games are a certain price, I go, okay, I'm not going to buy it, right? See, I play to play. Like I buy to play, right? I don't buy to collect. I don't buy for it to collect dust on a shelf or in a bin or something like that, hoping that the price goes up so I can sell it for 2, 3 times the amount of money or more. You know what I mean? I buy for enjoyment. And then I put a price limit on it. Okay, no matter how old it is. It could be a new game or it could be an old game. And if it goes beyond this price, I'm not going to buy it, period. And this is why I always buy things on sale for like 20 bucks or less, kind of thing, right, when it comes to modern gaming. And when it comes to retro gaming, I'll put a cap on it, like 40 bucks or something like that, and I'm talking Canadian. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, okay, if it's higher than that, then I'm just not going to buy it. Unless there's a couple bucks higher, like, 5 bucks higher or something. Okay, that's different, right? But if it's like 150 bucks or something, no. I never do that stuff. So that's the whole thing. So I just thought I'd share my input with you guys, my thoughts and my theology behind things and how I approach it. I don't have a backlog, never existed. Yeah, I got a lot of games, and I got a lot of games to play on, like, the Sega Genesis. I got the PS3, which allows me to do PS2 and PS1 games, and I got, like, the Xbox Series S. So I'm good. More than good, right? Because technically, you only need one console, to be honest with you, and that sort of thing. And to really, really be honest with you, if I had known that the industry was going to go this way, I would have stopped at the Sega Genesis. I only upgraded because I thought things were getting better, and they were, because it was still cartridge and it was still CD and stuff like that. But I think like 2015 is where the change really happened, right? But the problem is that once Xbox got into the marketplace in the early 2000s, they came up with the concept of, hey, let's test the marketplace for DLC and macro transactions, right? And the testing grounds was Oblivion for that. You know, Now Shivering Isles was worth it, but the other stuff was just garbage. Horse armor did nothing except made your horse look good. It wasn't armor. It didn't give it extra health. It didn't give it extra protection. It didn't give it extra nothing. It just looked good. That's it. You know, my brother bought it, and I said, "You're an idiot." I called him an idiot. Called him out on it. I said, "Dude, like, how much that cost you?" Well, it wasn't that. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Todd Howard's right. People will buy anything because they're idiots. That's just the bottom line. So anyway, that's my advice. That's the way I look at things, and that's the way I jam. So get a couple of games. Get something like an RPG game where you can make multiple characters and put yourself with hard limits. Like, this is what I can do and this is what I can't do because of my alignment or because of, like, my character class. Like, for example, if I'm going to play it as a thief, what if I want to play it as a good thief, or what if I want to play it as an evil thief? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different ways you can do. You can have morals in the game and standards and in values and ethics. Things that people don't have in this day and age. So there's tons of different ways, especially with RPGs. You can just sit there and do the same thing over and over and over and over again. People to me were like, "How many times have you beaten Skyrim for?" And I'm like, "Why does it matter?" I'm having fun just making up different character classes and different ways to play it. Like, here's a ranger, here's a bard, here's a cleric, here's a paladin, and that sort of thing. And here's a succubus, so you can be a demon if you want to, Like, I'm creating all these different things. I'm having a blast with it. And, it just shows you just how bad people really are in this day and age. So anyway, guys, that's the video right there. I thought I'd just do something short, sweet, to the point. But I don't get these trendy thingies where you guys go out and just buy a whole heap full of games. And what's the point? You know? And then especially if you're talking about backlogs and that, what the hell is that? I know what it is now, but I mean, like, seriously? How did that become a thing? Why do you let things get out of control like that? And why do you compulsively buy everything once it goes on sale? Oh, gotta buy this, gotta buy that, gotta buy that, gotta get this. Oh, my friends are talking about, this game or that game. Oh, I gotta get Elden Ring. Oh, I gotta get the DLC. Oh, I gotta get the next Elden Ring. I gotta get the next deal. And you don't enjoy it. Why don't you enjoy it? Because you're rushing through it instead of just relaxing, breathe, and just enjoy the process. That's why I come up with all these different classes for you guys in Skyrim, for example, because you guys are Skyrim fanatics, right? And I come up with all these different classes for you so that you can sit back and enjoy the game from a different perspective. But people want to take my classes and just destroy them, right? And it's like you're missing the whole point of the classes being made. And they're like, "Well, Thief can kill." Listen, if you're just going to play the game the same way every time you play it, where's the fun? Right? The fun is, "Oh, I'm hard locked. I can't. Oh, but look at this item I just found, but I can't use it because it's not for my character class." Let's see. "Oh, I found a wicked spell, but you're not a spell user." Like, this is the thing that really kills me with people nowadays. Like, you guys, like, seriously. right? So anyway, those are just some thoughts about all this stuff. I just think it's a bunch of malarkey, really, and I don't know why people do it, to be honest with you. But anyway, take it easy, guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you in the next one. Let me know your thoughts down below. Are you one of those? Are you like a backlogger? Or are you like a hoarder? Or are you like you into this whole oh gotta buy it or else I'm gonna miss out kind of thing or whatever? Like, what's your jam on that? And out of curiosity, what kind of games do you like to play? Like sports games, fighting games, beat 'em ups, shoot 'em ups, whatever them ups. Let me know in the comments down below because you guys are freaking amazing and awesome. And yeah, I'll start making some more Skyrim stuff for you guys because I know you want more Skyrim. Tell us about the Skyrim Wise. Okay, we could do that again. Like, I did a little bit of it, but I guess we could go into a deep dive of that. We could do the Civil War. We could do it all over again. We could do Serrano all over again and really make you a goon. Like, I made her in the game, so. I also made Lydia for those of you that are Lydia fans. Yeah, so you can goon over that too and simp. We could do that too. We could make another playlist like that, games for gooners and simpers, right? So yeah. And see, that's what I mean. Have fun, right? Have fun, right? Make a hot, attractive babe and oh, I'm sinning. Hang on a sec. I think my third leg's growing. Yeah, I just made a succubus demon that's like gonna suck the life force out of me, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I love you guys. I think you're nuts, but I love you. Okay, take it easy, man. Have a good one.